All right, guys. This is going to hurt somebody's feelings. I feel it already. But are whiskey influencers ruining whiskey? Are they making it to where the normal whiskey buyer is just buying the same crap off the shelf all the time? Is it destroying craft and everything about it? We got a lot to get into. Let's go. All right, before we jump into everything, obviously, I want to say what I'm going to say. I don't mean to poo-poo on anybody doing their job, doing their thing, right? I don't want you to think that I'm hating on influencers, because I'm not an influencer, obviously. I don't influence anybody. I can't even influence my dang kids, right? I don't want you to think that I'm telling these people they can't say what they want to say, because we do live in America, and as of right now, it is still the First Amendment, freedom of speech. So you are allowed to say whatever you want, and I'm allowed to get upset about it. Although I'm not upset, but I'm not upset. That's the thing. I'm not upset about this. But this is the mentality of the whiskey world right now, and it hurts my heart, because me being a craft whiskey lover, I feel like this is going to hurt the brand of whiskey, and we're going to get into it. Before we do all that, I hope everybody's doing well. I got a couple of housekeeping things to get into. We got to pour whiskey we're going to drink. We're going to have some fun, okay? We don't talk about dark stuff like this. It's not dark, but we don't talk about negatively influenced stuff like this without having a little fun too, okay? So just understand that. So let's get something in the glass, because it's a whiskey show, right? So let's do it. So my buddy Richard over at Game and Grains, yeah, he just started a YouTube channel. Go check him out, please. He sent over a sample of something. It's got these really cool. If you're on the Patreon, you could see the labeling. Patreon.com/whiskey shaman. If you want to get the video of this, he sent over a couple of samples. No, he actually sent over more than a couple. And we're jiving together. We'll just say that we're jiving together. And he lives in Tennessee. So I was doing the whole Tennessee whiskey book club thing. He dove right into it. Loved it. I'm glad. Thank you so much. So speaking of that, today we are going to dip into, and the first video he did was actually on this whiskey. So I found it kind of, prudent to do this. This is Old Dominic. We've had them on the podcast. This is a single barrel, but it's a special single barrel. This is a straight wheat whiskey, not weed, wheat whiskey. The proof is 124.27. Very precise. It's 7 years old, 83% wheat, 12% corn, 5% malted barley, or as the boys over at Chill Filter say, multi bees. So, I'm going to crack this open. We're going to do a little pour of it, and we're going to talk. I'm going to give you a couple tasting notes. I'm going to do about a 1 ounce pour. It's a 2 ounce sample. This gives me enough to, have another little taste of it later on. So, thank you, Richard, so much for this. The color on this is beautiful. It's dark. Yeah, I got a ring light. I know. I'm bougie. Well, people were saying it's getting dark, because sometimes when I do my podcast, it gets dark at night. So just understand that. I was able to get my streaming service back up, so we're not recording on Zoom, even though Zoom is fine. The issue with Zoom is when it records to my computer. This is back end stuff. Y'all don't even care. But it records as a file, and then I have to take that file and do the back end the things to it. And with the other service that I have, it's just a lot easier. I can do my intro and everything's already logged in right here, and then it just makes it a lot easier. Anyway, let's get into this wheat whiskey. I'm really excited about this because Old Dominic's doing some amazing stuff. They do bourbons, they do Tennessee whiskeys. No, they're not the same. We learned that much, didn't we? Oh, the nose on this is nice. A little hot. 124, right? So, oh man, that's like brown sugar on top of shredded wheat. Oh, brown sugar shredded wheat, right? Not, like the frosted shredded wheat, but with brown sugar on top of it. It has a little bit of barrel to it, like barrel candy. Maybe even a little grape nuts. I think that's wheat as well, if I'm not certain. I'm going to go in for the sip. Wow. That's really nice. It does have, it's hot. Has a really good flavor though. It does a little bit, and I'm just saying at the very end, it does drop off just a little bit. It's a shorter finish. Now it's just leaving me with like an ethanol ding on my tongue, but the flavor that was there, it's really subtle. The flavors that are there. It's like a little bit of caramel, a little bit of like creme brulee, like the cracked sugar. What else? A slight bit of cherry, maybe, and that's just from the barrel, obviously. Slight bit of cherry, but it does have that like malty, like malt ball whopper type taste to it. Even the slightest bit chocolatey, but not super bad. So I'm going to enjoy that for the rest of the show. So let's get into No, let's do some housekeeping. No, let's get into the subject at hand. Well, I want you guys to listen to or watch, if you're on the Patreon, a video, and I'm going to do full disclosure. And some people are going to get angry with me, possibly Richard. So this is a Bruzel video. Now, I will be the first to say I don't follow all of the people in the whiskey tubes, right? I follow some. There's some that I do follow, like my buddies, like, Doc and Tom over at the Bourbon Jerk and drinking, Baker Drinks and, all those guys. Like they're not in my circle, but we kind of hang out, and I, can talk to them if I need to, Chill Filtered but they're of their own thing. You know what I mean? Your Drinking Buddy, all of those guys. By now you should know who my circle is. Germ, Rough Spirits, all the guys that Chase the Craft, Bad Motivator Barrels, all the niche guys, Ozark Steelworks, all of the guys where people are like, oh, I didn't know you followed him too. Yeah, that's my people, which is pretty diverse. Like I have the whiskey tubey guys a little bit, and then I have the podcasty guys, which is Chill Filters, obviously, and then I have like the we can't talk about it, guys. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. They're home distillers. All of those guys are the home distiller groups, which is totally illegal in the United States. So do not do it. I'm going to give one more little sip because, it's good. And I'm talking. So this is a Bruzel video. This is, I'm going to let it run through, and I want you guys to understand that I'm going to let it run and then we're going to talk. Okay. Because like you heard in the intro, it could have, anyway, let's just do it. Sorry. All right. It's going to start right up when I do it. So let's go.
Like, you are stupid if you're trying to distill your own whiskey these days, because it is more expensive to distill your own product than it is just to buy it somewhere. And if you're making whiskey is expensive. Making whiskey is dumb. Like, you'll see so many of these brands here. Most of them, the majority of them that are popping up these days are what we call NDPs, non-distilling producers. They have whiskey, they're putting out whiskey, they do not distill whiskey. They contract it with somebody else. And because the reason they're doing that is because that's the only way it makes sense. Like, you are stupid if you're trying to distill your own whiskey these days, because it is more expensive to distill your own product than it is just to buy it somewhere. If I want to distill and make my own barrel of whiskey, that might be $1,200 to $1,500 for that exact same barrel. So I've increased my cost 50% just because I want to make whiskey. Like, you are stupid if you're trying to distill your own whiskey these days, because it is more expensive to distill your own product than it is just to buy it somewhere. And if you're making whiskey is expensive.
All right. That was the whole thing. Sorry. That was the whole thing. I'm going to support and then I'm going to counter. Okay. I understand where he's coming from. I really do. Bruzel, he kind of blew up in the world of TikTokies. He poured a Weller Foolproof in the lawnmower and it got 1 billion views. He was an IT guy and then he, got into the bourbon world. Okay. Not saying that's bad. There's a lot of distillers that I talk to that are IT guys that get into the bourbon world. So I'm not poo-pooing anything that Bruzel's doing. Obviously, he hits where he needs to hit because he's got way more followers than I do and anybody else does, right? Is that manufactured? I don't know. That's none of my business. Is he selling? Is he buying listeners and views and stuff like that? I don't know about that either. What he's saying is you would be stupid to support a craft distillery. You would be stupid to open your own distillery. Now, it's partially taken out of context, but it is also partially, very much negative against craft distilling because he is at a conference or, he's going to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival and talking about this, right? So all of these heirloom freaking heritage distilleries are going to be there. And they're like, yeah, y'all don't make whiskey. Let the big boys make the whiskey and then you can just buy it from us. I understand when you are starting out a distillery, because I looked into it. Now, I did. I looked into opening my own distillery. Who doesn't, right? Who wouldn't love to have their brand in a bottle of their own stuff that they made and say, hey, guys, this is mine. Come drink it, right? That's kind of like the goal in whiskey, right? You start out liking whiskey. The next thing you know, you're like, I want to make whiskey. Then you were like, I want to sell whiskey. I want to, be the whiskey dude, right? So he's not wrong in what he says, because what he says is you would be stupid to distill your own whiskey when you could just buy it for almost half of the price. And that makes sense, right? Why would I want to labor through the process of making said whiskey, right? To fill one barrel of whiskey, you have to have the still, you have to have all the things to make the whiskey, and then you got to sit on it for a year, at least 2 years for it to be straight, right? And then you don't make any profit until you sell it. And now, what's funny on that, y'all go look at that video if it's not gone. I commented because, that's what I do when I'm passionate about something, which I'm very passionate about craft distilling, as you guys well know. When I'm passionate about something, I comment on it. Now, I don't bash and I don't talk crap and I'm not a keyboard warrior, right? I am supporting craft is what I'm doing. And all of the awesome people that have came onto my podcast and they're like, hey, we're doing a cool thing. And guess what? Guess who else has came on? Multiple people have come on my podcast. They're NDPs. Yes. But guess what? They're still doing cool things. So I am not poo-pooing you being an NDP at all. HK Young, Storytime, all of these guys are doing exceptional stuff, right? But they are not trying to make their own whiskey, right? They are presenting a brand and they are doing something a little bit different. Okay. So understand that. So I am not talking bad about NDPs at all. I think they're great. And I'm not even talking bad about distilleries who source whiskey, sell it until they have their own stock made. That's okay. I get it. It's the transparency, right? Obviously, we want to be very transparent in what we're doing. And that's been number one on this podcast. One of the first episodes I did was about transparency. You know why? Because it really means something. It really does. It really means that you guys are getting what is truly should be in the bottle. I know that Old Dominic, I know they're making this whiskey, right? It's a 7-year-old whiskey. Okay, they stated that on the bottle, right? Distilled, aged, bottled, everything in their in-house. Now here's the deal. I understand that's very expensive. And that's one of those things that we have to get to, right? You can't just, unless you're a multimillionaire, unless you have backing from somebody or something like that, you can't just jump in head first and be like, we're releasing 10-year-old whiskey. How? You have to have 10-year-old whiskey. I get it. So I say, I'm not even bashing what Bruzel's saying. I'm not. Because yes, you would be stupid to start a distillery right now. Because there's so much whiskey on the, here's the deal. There's so much whiskey on the market and they're trying to get rid of it. Right? Barton. And even here in Texas, there's Giant Distilling. They're a contract distilling company. Southern Distilling. They have created MGP. They have created so much whiskey. We are in a whiskey surplus as of right now. So you're able to get aged stock of whiskey for cheap. So you'd be dumb not to do it. But, and I say but, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to say there's nothing wrong. I've already said it once, but there's nothing wrong with sourcing. There's nothing wrong with the NDP. And there's a lot of NDPs that are out there doing different things. Like with HK Young, they're putting all of their product that they source and putting it in a toasted barrel for 6 to 8 months or longer, depending how you need it. One of the coolest ones out there, and I don't mean to like put them in a tier system, Found North, right? They are sourcing Canadian whiskey, blending it together, rebarreling it in different barrels, doing all this stuff, making master blends of things and releasing them. That's innovation. That's change. That's changing the whiskey from what it was originally, right? Like I have this whiskey right here in this sample bottle. This is a sample I'm giving to somebody. In this sample bottle, I have some whiskey. If you don't know what it is, like it's a blind, right? I tell you, this is a 6-year-old MGP whiskey. Guess who else has a 6-year-old MGP whiskey? Everyone. So what makes your 6-year-old MGP whiskey better than that 6-year-old? It's 95.5 or it's 75-21-4, which is the mash bill that everybody uses, right? What makes you different? That stupid AI generated story on the back of your bottle, nobody gives a crap about that. But I'm getting more into it here in a second. So there are people, the NDPs, that are doing really cool things. And I'm not poo-pooing on them. But where is the craftsmanship? And why are we talking crap? And I'm not saying Bruzel's talking crap. And that was a segment of his speech, right? That somebody recorded. Understand that. This is where this whole news cycle turns into a thing, because guess what? You're hearing 5 seconds of something that was a long, drawn-out thing, right? He was actually talking about the 3-tier system as well. They didn't show that. So it's all set and setting, right? You have to know the information that you're getting and know that it's not altered, know that it's not bias, right, in one way or the other, because it will trigger you. And that's where news comes in, right? So why are people like, hey, just buy some 95.5 MGP rye? You're fine. You're fine with that. You'll be fine with that. I can get a 6-year-old MGP rye barrel for $800. I can bottle it, make two, even if I sell it at cast strength, make about 200 bottles, 250 bottles, maybe a little bit less, and sell them for $60 a piece. You're making money. Yeah, you are. That's one way to do it. Yeah, it is. But when a craft distillery opens its doors and it's doing a thing and it's doing something different, like Old Dominic, right? They're doing something different. They revived an old brand. They tried to look for old recipes that they had back in the day and revive those as well. And they're doing a wheat whiskey. This isn't your typical bourbon. This isn't your typical rye whiskey. This is something different, something unique, right? And that's what craft is all about. But here's the deal. You're going to pay more for craft whiskey, period. You are. Now, there is a fine line between paying what is right and getting gouged just because it's craft, right? If it's crap craft, that's hard to say. If it's crap craft, then it doesn't need a $90 price tag on it, right? You know if your whiskey is good or not. And I'm talking to the distillers. You know if your whiskey is good or not. So the price tag you put on it, now that might be set by the state. A lot of those, depending, right? 3-tier, I get it. So let's say you base it at 60 and then in the store it sells at 90 because that's just how it is, right? I understand that. So they don't really get to set the pricing as well as they should. I totally understand that. The whole point of this conversation was, is what these, and I'm almost to the point of changing my tune to the whole thing as I'm talking through it, which is okay, right? Because that's how we got to do it. We have to talk through these things so that we can move forward. Okay. Are the whiskey influencers and the whiskey tubers and the whiskey podcasters and the, all of us, and I'm going to lump myself into that, are we destroying craft? Now, I will tell you, I enjoy, heritage whiskey, right? It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, right? There really isn't. But I don't seek it out, right? I seek out the weird, the different, the strange, I've never heard of that, right? That's what I seek out. Then I'm going to get into my housekeeping. We'll do that right in the middle. Why not? You know what I mean? But why do I seek that out? Well, because, okay, I'll if you've listened to a podcast of mine, you know I enjoy Wild Turkey. But if you've had Wild Turkey, they have 2 mash bills. That's it. A rye mash bill and their bourbon mash bill. That's all they have. And that's all they do. Forever. The 86 proof, the 101 proof, the rare breed, same mash bill. Might be different ages, right? The rye, the 101 rye, the rare breed rye, same mash bill. Different ages. And then there's all the keeps, the master keeps or whatever you call them. They're different because they're different ages, special, unique barrelings. Some of them double oaked. I think one of them was finished, right? Cool. I mean, but you think about Wild Turkey. When you go to drink Wild Turkey, you want it to taste like Wild Turkey, right? Like with Jack Daniels, you want it to taste like Jack Daniels. So unfortunately, the innovation and the change and the difference has to go not to the wayside, because there are things out there, like with Buffalo Trace, they do the single oak project, right? And then they do their BTAC line, which is not single barrels, but it's, they're more eloquent stuff. They're, Jack Daniels does their single barrel projects. Then they do their distillery only. Then they do, they have so many different SKUs of different types of whiskey, right? So, and then now they're starting to do American single malts, and they're starting to do, finishing on stuff, and which is cool. But the craft guys have been doing it from the beginning. Now, the craft guys aren't as old as you, right? Some of these craft guys, 15 years old, 20 years old. And then we get into American single malt territory. McCarthy's was one of the first ones, to put it on the map, and was 40 something years ago. It's not that long ago. When you think about the whiskey world, that's not that long ago. Now they're doing amazing stuff, but it's very niche. It's very in their wheelhouse. They're doing them, and they're doing them well. But how many people besides us whiskey nerds know about McCarthy's and know that they were one of the first? There's a thing out there, St. George, possibly. Anyway, I digress and say, are we as whiskey people, and then I'm going to get into the other half, are we as whiskey people making it harder for craft to do their things that they do? They're innovating things. They're different things. They're strange. They're unique things. Are we making it harder for them to do that? Because I see it every day. Take a little sip real fast. Man, that's good. I see it every day on the TikTok. I'm not on TikTok anymore, so don't follow me on TikTok anymore. That's stupid. I barely want to do Instagram, right? I saw on Instagram that there's the new Eagle Rare 12 is coming out, and everybody's bonkers about it. Who cares? I'm going to say it right now. The Old Fitzgerald 7-year came out, and it was a shelf bottle, right? It was a shelf bottle. I have heard like 4 bad reviews on it. I mean, it's just not good, right? I mean, okay, it's fine for the whiskey, right? For the whiskey that it is. It's fine for a $50 whiskey, right? But you know what's going to happen, and it's already happening. People are secondary marketing it for $150, and people are buying them because they're stupid. Instead of being like, okay, so I'm going to put a pin right there. And we haven't really talked in a while, all right? If you want to know more, I do try to release other content to my Patreon. I already talked about it earlier. But so I've been working on getting some really cool bottles for the Patreon release, right? Because I want to do unique things and different things. So this weekend, we just got back about an hour and a half ago. We went up to Dallas, and we were having a family weekend, right? We were having, normally, we will have all of the family come together, and it's about 14 of us, something like that, 12. We will all get together, and we will go to like a B&B and just hang out for the weekend and grill and drink and hang out in the pool or whatever, right? Well, this time we decided that we were going to go to Dallas, and we were going to go watch a Texas Ranger game. Now, I am not a baseball fan. I am not a sports nut, right? My son is. My son loves it. But the Rangers are not his favorite team, but they're Texas. And so we decided to go. So Friday, we left, took off work. We went up there. Well, on the way to Dallas, you have to go down 35, right? And there's a town in on the way on 35 called Waco, right? I know y'all have heard of it. There's a small distillery there called Balcones. No, it's not a small distillery. It's actually fairly large. And the Thursday, the day before we left, they had done a single barrel release of one of their offerings. And I DM'd them and I said, hey, save one for me. And they didn't respond, of course. So I was like, man, I hope that's there. That would be cool if that bottle was there. Okay. So we go by the Buc-ee's, right? Everybody got to go to the Buc-ee's. So we go to the Buc-ee's, and the kids go crazy, and it's, sensory overload for me, especially. I'm like, I start freaking out when there's too many people and they're weird and smelly, and I don't like it. Anyway, so we do the thing, and then we go to. I'm like, hey, I know it's a little out of the way. We're going on 35. I know it's a little out of the way. I would love to go by Balcones real fast, pick up a bottle, and then we can get back on the road. 20 minutes. So we all went, and I said, all right, I'll be right back. Well, my wife and kids decided that they were going to go to this place right across the street from Balcones, and they didn't know what it was. They were just like, hey, there's some cool little shop right there. We're going to go there. Well, guess what? It was a little boutique-y girly store. Sweet. You go do your thing. So I went into Balcones, and I've already taken the tour before. I've already done all the things. We had Emma on for the podcast. It's like, I'm good with Balcones, right? Here's the other thing about Balcones. And this is a side step inside a side step, right? Balcones doesn't really do a whole lot of marketing for themselves. Yeah, they post on Instagram and stuff like that, and they posted about that bottle that was coming out. But like their new releases, I don't hear a whole lot about them, which is kind of weird, right? Because they're a big brand. I mean, they're in Japan and stuff like that. They're a big brand for Texas, right? So I was like, why don't y'all have more like marketing? I guess they don't have to, right? So, okay. So I go in there and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's look around and see. Well, I found the single barrel. This is a cool single barrel. So it was their Texas single malt, 6 year, 6 month old. Okay. Fully matured in PX sherry casks. 100% Golden Promise, which is, if you don't know anything about malt, Golden Promise is a Scottish malt that they get shipped over from Scotland, and it's really nutty, and it's really great. They do a lot of Golden Promise. So it's been sitting in that sherry cask for 6.5 years. Bruh. Yeah. I love sherry, and I love single malt, and I love 6.5 years. Whatever. I don't know. Anyway, super cool. So then they had another bottling. They had 2 distillery exclusives. Okay. Everything else was shelf bottles. The bottled and bond rye, the lineage, the brimstone, which I didn't. I would almost got a bottle because I don't have any. But I was like, I've had it before. Whatever. I can find it, right? The other distillery exclusive was their Texas single malt called De Colors. And basically this one was last year. Yeah. It's been sitting there for this long, I guess. Was last year they did their 15th anniversary. Yeah. And they released this one, and it is the same thing. It's a 5-year-old single malt that was finished in 100-year-old Spanish punch-ons, which is a huge, like 700-liter barrel, Spanish wine barrel. Yes, please. So, full transparency, as soon as I got back to the hotel, I cracked that sunbuck open. Me and my father-in-law and my brother-in-law had a little sip of that. It was excellent. Now, full transparency again. Look on my my Instagram. It might be gone. I might do a reel. I don't know if I'm going to do a reel or a short. I drank it out of a cup, like a paper cup. Yeah, I didn't bring Glencairn because I was like, I'm not really planning on drinking whiskey. So I drank it out of a paper cup. But you know how those paper cups are like wax lined, something like that. So I did a thing on my Discord, maybe. I sent a picture, and Locktar from Locktar's Barrel Breakdown, follow him, please. He commented and said, hey, I wonder if that wax interacts with the whiskey, right? It was 53% alcohol. So, 101.5, whatever. And, he's like, I wonder if it reacts with that wax. And I said, well, here's the deal. I'm pouring it in there and I'm drinking it, right? It's not like I'm going to let it sit overnight in there. Well, I will tell you this, because we're talking this, it may be total throughout the night. I might have had an ounce, right? I poured a little bit. I drank it. I was like, man, that's pretty good. So I poured another little bit for me and my brother-in-law, and we just, we were hanging out in the room. Like I think I told you on the last podcast, it was my daughter's birthday. And we hadn't really celebrated with that part of the family. And so they had a banner up in the room, and, we had cake and stuff like that. So it was fun. We were just hanging out. The kids were, hopped up on Mountain Dew. And so it was fun. It was really cool. So I had like 2 little pours in that cup. So I brought that cup because I was like, hey, maybe I'll have a nightcap or, something tomorrow night. By the time the next morning came around, it had already started. Whatever residuals were in the bottom had already started to, I don't want to say eat through, but kind of started to eat through the the cup. So I was like, oh, so it does do something. So Locktar, you were right. But of course it sat in there for 6, 8, 12, 14 hours, whatever. I did drink on it again last night. I had one little pour. So then we woke up, went to the aquarium. It was super cool. I saw this monkey. There's a little bitty monkey. I don't know what they're called. Tamarin, I think it is what they're called. And it had the coolest mustache. Yeah, it did. It was probably the size of a gerbil. All right, it was really small. It probably fit in the palm of my hand. And he had this long mustache, like super long, and it was white. Long white mustache. He looked like an old, like in those old Bruce Lee movies, though. Those the kung fu guys, and they just got the long mustache. That's what he looked like. I took a picture of him. So yeah. Anyway, it was cool. The aquarium was cool. There was a huge alligator. Yeah, it was really cool. Downtown Dallas. Who would have thought, right? I almost, it's family time, guys. I had already went to a distillery. I almost went to Bent Distilling. I didn't because the time just didn't work for me. And Riley's not working there anymore, so I don't really have ties to that place anymore. I appreciate him coming on the podcast, and I would definitely go and check him out because Doc Martinez went over there and picked up a single barrel pick, like 135 proof or something like that. So I would like to go get another bottle. It'd be fun, but I just didn't have the time. So then we went to the Rangers game. So there was a shuttle that came to our hotel, picked us up, went to the Rangers game. Mm-hmm. That's the first time I'd ever been to a sporting event like that. It was a lot. It was a sensory overload again for me. I don't normally have the freakouts. I didn't freak out, but like I was nervous. We were on the 3rd floor. It's kind of creepy, the stairs and stuff. Anyway, the arena was enclosed. It was air conditioned, super cool. Had a beer because I couldn't find the whiskey. I found Jack Daniels, but it was on the 1st floor, way far over there. And I'm like, I'm not walking all that way. They got beer. Literally, the guy has a beer right here. So I got a beer, ate a corn dog. Doctor's not gonna like it, but whatever. It's a baseball game. Rangers won 4-1, I think. So cool. I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Then we came back today, and that was it. And I will tell you this: the whiskey needs to take a back seat. And I know I talk about this a lot, but the whiskey needs to take a back seat to family, right? I wasn't there for whiskey things. I was there for family things. So just understand that. Just understand that the whiskey, no matter how cool and fun it is, it's not going to be there for you, right? It's not going to be there for you when you need it. So just understand that. But yeah, what else? I think that was it. Let's talk about this real fast. I said earlier if I can send out the samples. So I hand delivered a package to my good buddy, Mingo. And he lives in Tucson. So I walked all the way to Tucson with it. Hitched a ride on the back of a UPS truck. Yeah. And when it got to the sorting facility in Tucson, evidently I dropped it. Anyway, I'm done with that. That's stupid. It got damaged, and it's being sent back to me. So there's that. We'll see what happens there. So I don't know what happens. I really don't. I don't know what happens. For one, that sucks, right? It was there. It was literally right there, and now it's coming all the way back, and probably smells good. Whatever. Hopefully, it doesn't have a ticket in it, or warrant for my arrest, or whatever. Anyway, moving on. That last sip was bueno. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the other part, right? What can we do as whiskey people? And what does the other people do, right? The people that aren't whiskey people, they just like whiskey. Because there is two different types of people, right? Whiskey people. There are the people that drink whiskey. And then there are the people that take photos of their whiskey and do deep dives on their whiskey and have whiskey podcasts and have whiskey channels and have Discord groups that they're talking about whiskey all the time. We are not the same, right? And there are people who listen to whiskey podcasts, and there are people who, you know what I mean? We're all the same. Either you're creating the content or you're absorbing the content. You understand what I'm saying? And then there's the other group. And we're going to talk about the other group. And I've talked about this other group before. As you guys well know, I'm a plumber by trade. And so I go into a lot of people's houses, right? Sometimes when they're not there. And I do a lot of work for B&Bs. In the town that I live in, there's a lot of B&Bs around. VRBOs or Airbnb, it doesn't matter. I work for this property management group as well, and they manage a bunch of different B&Bs, and I just go around and work on all of them. Well, I went to one last week. This is very much pertinent to the conversation. I went to that one, and they had something wrong. Well, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. I did my job. But there was a bar. They had, on the table, they had some whiskey set up. And then they had some tequila and some Malibu and some mixers and stuff like that. This is 95, probably 95 now. 95% of the people in the world, this is how they drink their whiskey, right? They had, and this is nothing against these brands, okay? Just understand that. They had a bottle of Evan Williams 1783, 45% alcohol. They had it was a handle, and then they had a handle of Woodford Reserve, 45% alcohol. And then they had a handle, and I don't know how many people were in the house, so none of my business. But two of the handles were already toasted. They had another handle of Jack Daniels, 40%, right? And 3 cases of Cokes and Sprite and ginger ale. So, for us who have the discerning palate, right? And for us who are like, I want to try that unique and bizarre and different whiskey, right? I want to try that because it's different. I want to try that because it's, I don't know, it's craft. It's there are the mass majorities that want to do 2 things. They want to get drunk. Okay? And they don't care how they get there. Or they buy the cheap stuff, Kessler's or whatever, and mix it. That's why Crown Royal is so popular. It's okay. It is not the most horrible whiskey out there. No, it is not. It's not good, but it's not the most horrible whiskey out there. Neither is 1783 by Evan Williams. It's not horrible. It's just not good, right? But if you mix it in a Coke, it's fine, right? And so that's what we, as craft lovers, as whiskey lovers, that's what we're fighting against. We're fighting against that type of people. And there's nothing wrong with those people. I'm not dissing those people either. Like, I don't want this to be a diss track for the entire whiskey community. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are people like us who love the nuance and the flavor complexity and all of the things in a whiskey. And we want to drink it neat or with very little water or in a cocktail where it promotes that whiskey. We don't want to dump a bunch of Coke on it. Hey, I drank Crown and Coke for a long time, so I'm not poo-pooing anybody. Still good. I can't have the soda though. Especially when I did Coke Zero. Dude, all of the crap that's in Coke Zero to make it taste sweet but not be sweet, bro, you need to stop. You need to get them what we call Mexican Cokes or the cane sugar Cokes. Mix those. Anyway, moving on. So we're fighting against those. Not fighting against, but we're like, it's us and them, right? But it's also like, what are you getting out of it? So, and this is where it ties up, I'm trying to tie it all back in. Do those people, the 95%, do they give a shit if craft goes under? No. Now, do they go to distilleries that are local? Yeah, I'm sure they do. And they pick up bottles of whiskey? Yeah, I'm sure they do. Like, do they go to Kentucky and buy other bottles of whiskey other than the Wild Turkey 101? Yeah, I'm sure they do. But the mass majority of people are buying handles of Maker's Mark. They're buying handles of this, drinking the same thing all the time. That's just what they do. You know, the number one whiskey in the world is some single malt in India, right? Why is that? Because it's so many people just drink that. They add soda water to it, like sparkling water or lemonade or whatever to it, and they drink it. They're using the alcohol for the effect of the alcohol. That's it. They're not using it to get into the flavors of the alcohol. Does that make sense at all? Like, and so now going back to the Bruzel thing, all right? So he was not wrong in saying that, yeah, why would you do that? Because the mass majority of the people don't care. They don't care that it's some artisanal grain to glass, farm to table BS. They're like, dude, that's hot. That tastes weird. That's what they think. I can't drink that. Why would I drink that? That freaking Crown is smooth. I could drink that all day long. And it's cheap. Right? That Jack Daniels is good. And guess what? My dad drank it. So like when I would sneak whiskey, yeah, I'd sneak his whiskey. So I kind of got a taste for it. That is the mass populace of the world. That's how they do it. It's not wrong. And craft guys are trying to push away from that, right? They're trying to say, we want to do it different. We want you to enjoy the whiskey. We want you to try this unique single barrel that we did. It's different. It's weird. It's cool, right? We want to do cool blending exercises. We want to finish this and make a cigar malt out of it or whatever. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing it. We want to blend really cool whiskeys together and present them to you and show that, like, it's not all about this one whiskey. It's about these multiple components of whiskey, putting them together. That's the art, right? And is there art in NDP? Actually, absolutely there is. There is art in it. Look at, and I don't want to uplift them because I feel like there's some stuff. Look at Dark Arts Distillery in Kentucky. I have one of their bottles, and it's finished in something, a white port barrel or something like that. It's good. It's MGP, but it's good. Or Barton, one of the two. It's good, right? But they're doing something different, right? And they're marketing something different. It's not your basic run-of-the-mill whiskey, right? MGP's there for a reason, right? Use them, abuse them, buy their bottles. You know, Penelope, it's one of the biggest brands in the world right now, right? They got bought out by MGP. They were sourcing MGP, and they got bought out by MGP. and be like, we want your brand because it's doing a thing. So people don't care. And I'm being serious. People don't care that it's not your juice or not your whiskey. People don't care about that. Some of us do. But people, the mass majority of people, and even the whiskey people, they don't care. They're like, that's cool. That's different. That's new. You know, like the new Penelope cigar blend series, whatever the hell you want to call it, is a mixture of like 3 or 4 different types of whiskey, not just finished, right? So it's like American single malt and light whiskey and stuff like that. That's cool. That's unique. It's different, right? I don't know. I don't want to be clickbaity, right? At all. I don't want to scare anybody. I don't. Whiskey doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter at all. In the whole scheme of the world, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to cut hairs over here. I'm really not. I don't care. I don't care one bit. You do what you want to do. Bruzel, say what you want to say. I wish I would have heard the entire thing. I might not have even commented. But something that's kind of funny, and I'm going to throw this in there. I commented, and the comment right underneath mine was Drew Hanish from Whiskey Lore. You know, he wrote the book about Tennessee whiskey. So he's a craft nerd as well. And we were both basically said the same thing. So does that make me feel good? Yeah, it does, because Drew's a badass, right? But at the same time, I'm like, are we just in an echo chamber, right? Are we just talking to talk? I don't know. I mean, Bruzel's out there doing a thing, right? He's doing a thing, going to events, doing things. I'm sitting in my shed recording podcasts talking about it. Who has more influence, right? It makes you think. It really does. It makes you think. At the end of the day, the whiskey doesn't freaking matter at all. Do what you want with the whiskey. Pour it down the drain. I don't care. One of the other guys that I don't know if it was on this show or not. Crafty. Anyway, he's a whiskey YouTube guy. And he said something about he doesn't like the word crafty, that it tastes crafty. He's like, it means it tastes like crap. I'm like, no. Now, I disagree, but at the same time, I understand what he's saying. If you're a craft distillery, you don't need to be putting out juice that doesn't taste good, period. Even if it is the only thing you have. Well, if it's the only thing you have, maybe you need to think about something else, right? I've had some bad whiskey, right? I don't know if I've ever drain poured anything. I almost drain poured one time. It was an old bottle of Garrison. I'm not going to lie. Almost drain poured it. I actually did mix it. I did, and it was not good. A lot of Coke with it. Just saying. That was a long time. That was before I even really got into whiskey. That was a long time ago. Anyway, I say all that. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. I wasn't ranting, but is me ranting about it going to do anything? Absolutely not. Are the craft guys going anywhere? Absolutely not. Do we have, I'll say this real fast. Sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes when I'm drinking whiskey, and it always happens during a recording, I can't swallow the whiskey. I don't know what to do. Like, my mouth won't let me swallow the whiskey. So I'm sitting there going, right, trying to do a show. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'm going to get copyrighted for doing those guitar licks. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, watch out, Jimi Hendrix, calm down. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The craft guys are going to do the thing. But what we need to do as whiskey people is support that. We need to support the craft. And we need to, I mean, if you're into that, and if you're not, cool. If you like to go get a handle of Jack Daniels every Saturday, good on you. If you're listening to this show, that's fine. I don't care. But if you like to explore whiskey, if you like to dive deep into it, if you like to drink single barrel wheat whiskeys from a Tennessee distillery that, yeah, dude, if you like that, thank you. If you don't, thank you. Yeah. We, as whiskey people, the whiskey nerds, or whatever you want to call us, we have to uplift what we want in this world, right? We have to uplift it. We have to put it not on a pedestal, because whiskey does not need to be on a pedestal, but we have to, if we support a brand, we need to support it with our money, with our time, with our likes, right? We need to support it because these people don't have a huge marketing budget like Jim Beam does or something like that, right? So that's why I would rather have them on my podcast, so that I can uplift them and so that I can say, hey, these guys are doing cool things. You should come check them out. If you do, great. If you don't, whatever. It's fine. I don't know. It's up to us, though. If we want the craft movement to push forward, the legacy guys, they're going to be fine, right? They're going to be fine. And they're trying to do cool things. You know, the legacy guys are trying to release things that us guys would want. Other than BTAC and Weller 107 and all those things. Other than the taters, right? They're trying to release cool things so that we can be like, ooh, I didn't know that Heaven Hill came out with this, you know, whatever. Anyway, I say all that to say this. Do what you want in whiskey. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whiskey takes a backseat to life, right? Whiskey's fun. It's for a good time. It's for hanging out. It's for being with friends. It's not for wallowing in, right? It's not for saying, oh, nobody cares about craft whiskey. Doesn't matter, bro. Stop. It's all about putting yourself in the right mindset, right? And it's all about putting yourself in that context where you're like, okay, should I even have a drink today? Should I just abstain maybe? Should I quit altogether, right? Those are things that we need to daily think in our head. I saw, do I want to talk about that? Yeah, I think I do. Sorry, I'm actively deciding things as I'm recording. Great. So I saw, and because I'm not going to name him, right? It's a dude. Who would have thought? I saw a guy on YouTube who has a channel who decided to step away from whiskey, and he realized that it was becoming a problem, like a big problem, evidently. And he said he's not gone, but he's reevaluating his life. And guess what else he said? Absolutely. He found the Lord. And it's funny how that happens. I saw something the other day. This is not whiskey related, so if you want to turn off, you're more than welcome. I saw something the other day that said that you guys have heard the thing, footprints in the sand. You know, there was 2 sets of footprints, and then all of a sudden there was only 1 set of footprints, and then why was there only 1 set of footprints? And that's when the Lord was carrying you through the hard times, right? It was something similar to that, but it was basically God is waiting for you to come to the realization that why do we always say, why is this happening to me? I have said it. I've said it, obviously. There are things in your life where you're like, whoa, this sucks. Whoa, Why is this happening now? Oh gosh, why is this? Oh, this on top of that. Okay, that too. The more's happening. Okay, so more's happening now, and then more on top of that as well, to where you're like, I can't take this. This is a lot. This is a lot to handle. I get it. I totally get it. But it basically said that why are we asking why instead of asking thank you? Because when we say thank you for the burden, and that's hard to do because obviously it's a burden, right? It's a hardship. It's a thing that we're having to go through, right? But we're not going through it alone. We're not going through these things by ourselves. In our head, we think we are because we're not using our heart. And we're not using what the Holy Spirit has put on us, right? We're not using that. We're trying to do it ourselves because that's the part of being a human, is that we have self-realization and self-thought. And we choose our own path, right? I like to think we do, at least. And we get to choose to follow good or to follow evil in everything we do. So what do you choose, right? What do you choose? Do you choose the heapings of abundance upon you and use them as the credit to yourself? Or do you take the burdens and say, why would you do this to me? Why would you do this, God? Why would you put all this in my life? The death, the despair, the sickness, all of this. Why would you put this in my life? No. You say, thank you. You say, I'm strong because of this. And it's making me stronger to push forward because he has great things for us. And he's building us up, giving us that armor that we need to fight against the devil, the evil one, right? He's given us that. And it's through all the struggle and the tribulation, right? Through all of that, we get stronger and we get forged in fire, right? Literally. And, evil can't stand a chance when you have, the thick skin, the armor of God on. I'm sorry. Evil doesn't stand a chance. That's just it. That was a couple minutes. Sorry. But I'm going to end it on this. Whiskey's great. Whiskey's fun. Whiskey, I love talking about it. I love being around people that are doing whiskey things. I love exploring whiskey. I love hanging out with y'all. It doesn't matter, man. It really doesn't. It's a means to an end that doesn't end well. And for those of you out there that are struggling, get help, please. More and more people are needing it. And I see it. I actively see it right now. More and more people are looking towards other things than whiskey. And I don't mean drugs, and I don't mean harder things, right? I mean the Lord. And I want to hope that maybe one thing I said, and I'm going to continue to say, so if you don't like it, I'm sorry. It's happening. I'm going to try and keep it, timely. But, if the Holy Spirit comes on me, you can come on me. Sorry, I can't help it. So I say all that to say this. Is whiskey changing? Absolutely. Is whiskey going to be here? Yep. Is craft fine? I don't know if it is. There's people I've talked to that say that they're struggling. They're coming off of COVID, going into other things, trying to figure it out, expansions, all those things. Those cost money. And guess what? When you don't have good distribution, when you have a 3-tier system, when you have all the things in place, it just costs money. And when you can only sell the bottle for so much, therein lies the rub for a craft distiller. When you don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind you, right? And that's just it. So, Legacy will be fine. Legacy will be there, support. They'll do all the things, right? Craft has always had an uphill battle, and it's fine. because they'll be fine. And yeah, we might lose some craft distilleries in the long run, but that's okay. And I'm not saying I want every craft distillery to sell out. I don't want that, right? But at the same time, I understand why you do. I understand you have a purpose, you have a drive, you have an initiative, and you take it so far, but you can only take it to a precipice, right? You can take it to an apex, and then you got to go somewhere, or you're going to stop falling down. You can't continue to grow unless you have the backing there to help you. And I get it. I love craft whiskey. I love all the things that craft is doing, all the weirdness, all the cool stuff. But I understand why it's not everybody's cup of tea. I understand why some people just don't like it. And I understand why 95% of the people drink Jack and Coke. I understand it. I do. So I hope you got a nugget of truth out of this. I really do. I hope you got something to move forward. I thank you so much for being here. I really do. It means a lot. Those of you who listen, those of you who listen on a weekly basis, right? Not only the interviews, but these personal podcasts. But I feel like these personal podcasts are where it's at, guys. And if you've listened this long, you're an OG. I know you are. If you've listened this long, you're awesome. Like I said, the Patreon's popping over there. We just got a couple new members. That's why I'm doing the send out of everything. We got a couple new members, and man, it's just popping over there. It's a lot of fun. I'm working on Patreon 7 here pretty quick. Probably in the next 2 weeks, we're going to do Patreon 7, which is a special podcast just for them. I might do it live if we have enough guys. I might do it live and we'll do a drink along. Maybe, possibly. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if you're in the Patreon and you want to do that. So, y'all be good. Make sure you drink water. Stay blessed. Know that the Lord's face is shining on you, even when you think it's not. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. Sorry, this one was kind of, it got weird, but it's all good. And until next time, keep your spirits up. Peace out.